It's Thursday, October 24. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Construction of the U.S. $43 million Western Children and Adolescents Hospital on the grounds of the Cornell Regional Hospital is to begin shortly. The 220-bed facility, offering specialist medical care for youngsters up to the age 18 years, is a gift from the government of the People's Republic of China. The state-of-the-art facility will boast, among other things, an emergency department, medical imaging department labs, ICU, inpatient and outpatient lobbies, pharmacy, restaurant, jogging trail, and playground. There will also be an adjoining nurse apartment with 4 floors and 60 rooms. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who broke ground for the facility, said he was happy with the design of the facility. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton said the Western Children and Adolescent Hospital is the first children's hospital to be built since the Bustamante Hospital for Children, which was established in 1963, 56 years ago. Acting President of the Caribbean Maritime University, Professor Ibrahim Ajuguna, says it will be difficult to terminate the contract that the institution issued to former Jamaica Labour Party Member of Parliament, Othniel Lawrence. Professor Ajuguna told Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, on Wednesday that based on the legal opinions provided, it would be expensive if the CMU terminates Mr. Lawrence's contract prematurely. He told the committee that the university also sought legal advice from Attorney General following a request from the university's council during a meeting involving Mr. Lawrence and the Ministry of Education.
And the council, along with the Minister of Education, asked us to seek for legal opinion. The responses we got from these 3 legal luminaries was that the contract is a hybrid type of contract.
Is a
hybrid type of contract.
A hybrid contract?
Yes. It is a contract for service. That is how it is written, but there are other items in relation to what is provided to the individual, which makes it look also like a full employment. And as a result of that, it becomes very difficult for that contract to be terminated without the university incurring additional liability.
Mr. Lawrence was issued a 3-year contract at $5.5 million per annum to serve as advisor to CMU President Professor Fitzpinnock. That contract took effect in April 2018. Professor Ajuguna said the university may therefore have to continue paying him in keeping with the terms of the contract. The government is still awaiting 50 of the 200 pre-owned vehicles that O'Brien's International Car Sales and Rentals Limited was contracted to supply the police force more than 2 years ago after several missed deadlines. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Dan McIntosh, told the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, that the car sales company has now given a commitment to hand over the vehicles in November. According to Ms. McIntosh, the ministry had followed all procedures in the wake of the breakdown of the contract, including mediation.
I think the delays that the supplier has had has been due to his agreements with our seeking appropriate finances to clear the contract in the best, on the agreement, mediation agreement, in the best way he can. We have not paid out anything more than what we have reported to you over the past months. We are working only with the advance payment.
Chairman of the PAAC, Wickham McNeil, contended that Jamaican taxpayers paid some $213.4 million to O'Brien's for supplying the vehicles, yet it had taken more than 2 years for the company to deliver 50 vehicles. He raised concerns about the age of the used vehicles to be delivered to the force, noting that they would pose problems for the police. Ms. McIntosh suggested that the government would not suffer a financial loss if all the vehicles have been delivered.
At this point in time, we don't pay Mr. O'Brien anything. We're paying straight to the financial. So where relationship is now with the financial institution. So once you deliver the vehicles, the portion, a portion to that amount of vehicles delivered from the performance bond, that amount of money is released to the financial institution. So when that element of trust came into the picture, so we felt a little bit more at ease to consider these addendums, because a financial institution came in that stated they were undertaking the arrangements with Mr. O'Brien, but the conditions under which we would continue our mediation agreement was conditional on that we would not be giving you any money, Mr. O'Brien, but we would speak directly with the financial institution.
McNeil challenged that assertion, noting that the Jamaican people had lost big time as the money paid over was not being used to their benefit while awaiting the delivery of the vehicles. Committee member Dr. Norman Dunn insisted that based on the nominal value, the government would not have suffered a loss. The United Nations Office of Disaster Risk Reduction, in collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, is currently hosting a 2-day workshop in Kingston to equip participants with the knowledge and tools to make cities resilient against disasters. The focus is on development and implementation of local disaster risk reduction strategies and action plans aligned with the national DRRR strategies and Sendai framework. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie says the recent heavy rainfall did significant infrastructure damage, estimated at $450 million, and that the workshop is timely as it is a capacity building exercise to equip stakeholders with the knowledge to prepare local municipalities for the shocks associated with natural disasters. Jamaica will host the region's highest forum for reviewing progress on reducing disaster losses in Latin America and the Caribbean in July 2020. The 7th regional platform for disaster risk reduction is the first in the series to be staged in the Caribbean and takes place as UN member states strive to meet the 2020 deadline for having in place national and local strategies for disaster risk reduction. Since 2011, Jamaica has been engaged in Making Cities Resilient campaign. The Ministry of Energy is pushing ahead with plans to diversify the country's fuel mix with more renewable sources by 2030. Speaking at Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, PAC, Principal Director of Energy Fitzroy Vidal says the ministry believes it can accomplish a switch to green energy by targeting government entities which are the largest users of fuel. Dehydration happens when your body doesn't have as much water as it needs. Without enough, your body can't function properly. You should learn more about dehydration, its symptoms and treatment. We share that information and more with medical advice from general practitioner Dr. Steve Fu in this Living Healthy report.
essentially what we need to do all the time is that we need to continue to rehydrate ourselves. So that's why we continue to drink. So especially in these very hot times and in the conditions that we have, like vomiting and diarrhea, you want to continue to keep on rehydrating. However, there comes a point where when you lose too much body fluids, the body is not able to function as it normally does. The body is what we refer to as a homeostatic vehicle. So therefore it needs certain parameters in which it needs to operate in order to function normally. And when there is loss of body fluids, then this disturbs the environment and a lot of our organs don't function particularly well. Even so, there can be so severe dehydration that it can even cause confusion and listlessness, and the person is just totally out of it. So therefore, our recommendation is that you can have two types of therapy. The first one, essentially, is that you rehydrate orally. So ideally, you want to take in such fluids like Lucozade, Gatorade, or even Highlight. And in the younger age groups, you probably want to move towards giving them some oral rehydration salts. These oral rehydration salts, they're readily available at the pharmacy, and you can just mix that up, keep it in the refrigerator, and just continue to feed the infants during the course of the day. However, if your symptoms persist, there's very high fever, you continue to be confused, listless, weak, dizzy, and all of that, and there's persistent vomiting and diarrhea, just not able to keep down anything, then you become a candidate for IV fluid rehydration. IV fluid is what we refer to as intravenous fluid, where we just find a vein in your hand most times, and we introduce a little cannula or a little tube, a little plastic tube, and we hook you up to something that we commonly refer to as drip. And we give you a few bags of drip. How much you get will depend on how dehydrated you are. And after giving you some drip, then you should start feeling a whole lot better, right? And it also depends on the conditions that you're having as well. I mean, if you have an infection, you might be able to get antibiotics and those things through the drip. But definitely you want to correct the dehydration as we try and treat whatever illness you have, so that we will make you much better.
Motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the price of gasoline and an increase in the price of diesel effective today, Thursday, October 24. Based on the latest ex-refinery costs from Pbcj, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $127.81 and $130.65 per litre, respectively, down by 13 cents each. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $136.74 per litre, following an increase of $1.68. Ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by $1.02 and will be sold for $140.57 per litre. The price of kerosene has increased by $1.35 and will be sold for $115.60 per litre. Propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $41.30 per litre, up by 5 cents. Butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $47.97 per litre, an increase of 25 cents. Do remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. The US dollar is being traded at Jamaican $138.93, up by 35 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $106.17, up from $104.33, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $178.77, down from $179.04. In regional news, on Wednesday, the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, concluded hearing argument in a case brought before seeking advice on whether individual Caricom countries can legally refuse to accept certain categories of workers. This after 2 member states opted out of the agreement that allows agriculture workers and security guards to enter Caricom countries. Newsroom's Neil Marks has the details.
The question of free movement has long been a contentious one in the 15-nation Caribbean community, Caricom. The heads of government have twice agreed to grant countries an opt-out to say that they will not accept certain categories of workers, the latest being Antigua and St. Kitts, who have opted out of a decision to allow the free movement of agriculture workers and security guards. The 2 countries were granted a 5-year waiver. Now, Caricom wants to know if its decisions to grant opt-outs is legal under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, the legal instrument which governs how Caricom functions. It has asked the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, to decide. A contentious question that the CCJ has also been asked to decide on is whether the countries which are granted an opt-out automatically deny the citizens of their countries the right to move and work and benefit from the very decisions. In arguments before the CCJ on Tuesday, Dr. Vanessa Moe, the Crown Solicitor at the island's Minister of Legal Affairs, said that Antigua, a less developed state within CARICOM, requested an opt-out because of socio-economic reasons, and she went further in stating that Antigua did not expect to have its nationals who are agri-workers and security guards to have the right, therefore, to travel and work freely in other member states.
A member state who opts out from a decision cannot reasonably expect its national to receive the benefits from another member state in respect of the decision that it had opted out from.
So the official position of Antigua and Barbuda is that they are content for the 5 years not to receive agricultural workers and security guards, nor to have any of their nationals seek employment as agricultural workers and laborers, or have a right to seek that employment in other states.
That's indeed the position, Your Honor.
However, while Antigua seemed to have decided that since it will not accept agriculture workers and security guards, these categories of workers in its own country will not have the right to travel freely and work, other arguments for the day strongly disagreed. Grenada argued that while Antigua and St. Kitts have opted out, it did not mean that other states should not accept their agriculture workers and security guards, unless the other states also seek an opt-out.
In Trinidad, the Oil Field Workers Trade Union, OWTU, is warning the opposition it will pay the political price if it tries to block the sale of the state-owned oil company Petrotrin to a company owned by the union.
There's a high political price to pay for this, and we are going to ensure that anybody who prevents us from going back to work, they will pay that political price.
OWTU President Ansel Roger says the recent court action by Wayne Sturge is part of a bigger UNC plan to return to government, starting with allegations made in Parliament last week and then this week's injunction application. Roger says the UNC never expected or wanted the OWTU to win the refinery bid and so resorted to hatching plans to spook investors and scuttle the deal.
So they now are going to get an injunction to prevent it from restarting. If they so care about the Petrotrin workers and the people in the South, why did they go to the court and get an injunction to prevent it from shutting down?
He says the UNC has always seen the fallout with Petrotrin's closure as a gold spoon, a way back into office. But he adds the union will not back down in its fight to acquire the refinery assets and restore jobs and economic growth.
Trickery and treachery and so on. Confuse up everything and then mislead the people to make them believe that, hey, listen, the union didn't do anything, put us in some boat with the PNM and try to win an election on the basis of that. One set tried to kill us by shutting it down, and one set want to make sure that we're dead now by not starting it back. That's how it is.
Roger says their lawyers will be advising them on their next legal step. But in the interim, he says since the UNC has called him out, they will be taking the fight to the streets.
It is Ansel George Roger. That's who you pick a fight with. You pick a fight with me, who wasn't even studying, me even studying you. But you pick a fight with me because it was part of your plot. We should stand up and communicate in a most forceful way and let them know where to get off.
In sports, we bowl off with cricket. West Indies batsman Marlon Samuels has shrugged off any speculation of retirement. The right-hander has been drafted to play in Season 3 of the Abu Dhabi T20 League, slated to bowl off on November 15. Samuels will turn out for the Karnataka Tuskers in the 8-team tournament, which features several other West Indian stars. Current West Indies captain Kieran Pollard and Guyanese left-hander Sharandapal Hemorrhage has been drafted to play for the Deccan Gladiators. Sherfane Rutherford will turn out for the Delhi Bulls. Trinidadian Dwayne Bravo, who missed the 2019 CPL due to injury, is expected to return to competitive action for the Martha Arabians alongside Jamaican Chadwick Walton. In other sporting news, Bermuda is seeking points in the game Thursday against Scotland and another against Netherlands on Saturday. This after losing by 6 wickets to Namibia in Dubai on Wednesday. The team is competing in the ICC T20 World Cup qualifiers. The results leaves Bermuda as the only side in Group A without a single point, which puts them closer to elimination. Team captain Rodney Trott pointed to the batsmen's shortcomings.
Pretty much, that's been our downfall. I feel like our fielding has been excellent. Our bowling's not been too bad, but our batting, like you said, we're losing too much wickets in the power play early, and then we're losing the wickets and we're not getting as runs. So there's no way. It's hard to win cricket games like that, man. You're losing wickets in the first 6 and you're not getting runs. You know, and we talk about this every night. You know that we're looking for somebody up the top just to bat at least 8 overs. You know. But like I said, on the day you're playing against opponents, you know, that also want to get your wicket. So it's kind of hard, but like I said, hopefully next game, tomorrow, you could do much better. Yeah.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.